All right, everyone. Jesus has risen. This is how we greet each other during Easter in Orthodox Christianity. If you don't believe in this, you're a heretic. I'm sorry. It's the only way. But I already have super chats. Wow, that's wonderful. I didn't expect to get super chats while not being here. I feel like Hassan Piker. With the empty microphone and the empty chair, I'm moving up in the world. Rating Terror for $5. V, I wanted to chat. I wanted to ask if you wanted to go on Chadcast as a guest. It's a Tuesday podcast by Synthetic Man. I don't want to say no because I do enjoy some of the content that Synthetic Man puts out, much to the dismay and horror of others. But I am a little bit busy right now. First of all, in-laws coming over, Easter, right? But secondly, I'm a little bit late on my game, so I want to work really hard in order to get a demo out. Maybe after I finish my game, I would love to, but right now, too busy. So send my love to Synthetic Man. I appreciate the invitation. It's not a no, but it's like maybe in the future if he still wants me and I still have time. Warlord Basil. Holy fucking shit, $50. $50 fucking dollars. Do you have anything left? Did you give everything? It's a lot of buyer's remorse. Would cold hard cash entice you into looking something I made? Absolutely not. I'm willing to look for free. A lot of people think that I need to be paid to function. No, I'm willing to entertain. I made and giving me your opinion privately. If not, then fair enough. You've still provided me a lot of entertainment over the years. Okay, it depends what you're asking, right? Like, if you're asking me to read A Song of Ice and Fire, or you're asking me to read anything that's more than 4 pages, absolutely not. Not because I don't want to, but because I mentioned earlier, don't have time. If it's like a small video, if it's an image, if it's something that doesn't take more than 5 minutes, I would love to. If not, I will still help you because it's Easter and I will show you just how humble and graceful I am. I have a subscription to ChatGPT. I have access to their latest models and you can use the AI for feedback. I actually encourage people to use the AI as a tool rather than a crutch. Like, don't get the AI to write for you. Don't get the AI to do stuff for you. Use it like a spell checker that's more advanced. So, like, you write something, you do something, it even works with pictures and stuff, and you basically ask it, and it will give you an objective answer, because you're probably not asking it something political. So, like, if you're asking the AI, you wrote something, and it's like, well, how would this theme strike? You know, what can I do to improve it? Gives you some suggestions, and it's really good as a proofreader. And so, I can teach you how to use that in that manner if you want, if it's something that I can't just look at and assess within 5 minutes. Spam me with DMs. I already respond to everyone that gives me DMs. Dude, I respond to a lot of people. I just don't brag about it. I don't feel like bragging about it is important. I get a lot of shit. I get death threats. I get love mail. I get fan mail. Sorry. I get people asking me shit. There's even an old lady that usually talks to me and watches my video. I get all sorts of people. I'll pay you for your time because it's 4-6 hours worth of reading. Yeah, I'm really sorry. I can't. I just don't have the time. I need to upload 5 videos a day with the live stream. And I also need to work on my video game. And I also need to spend time with my family. It's too much. It's too much. But again, I can help you use the AI, right? Like, we can use the AI. And you can ask what questions you want. And you'll see if you like it or not. I think that you're going to enjoy the experience. Anyway. Do you see how kind I am? I could have tokened the money, use the AI myself, and then pretend that I read it. Chat. I am a symbol of honesty and fairness. Jesus has risen, indeed he has. Christ has risen, he risen indeed. Good Christian atheist. Yeah, we're going to, I was actually shocked when I found out that Christian atheism isn't a new thing. It's actually from the founding fathers of the United States of America. Could you believe that? There is a thing called the Jefferson Bible. The Jefferson Bible was written by Thomas Jefferson. Didn't publish it when he wrote it because it would have been considered pure blasphemy. And the founding fathers probably had like other things to deal with rather than foster more discontent. But the Jefferson Bible takes out all of the supernatural from the Bible, like all of the the miracles and the claims of divinity, and specifically focuses on the Jesus' teachings. So it's basically like the morals of Jesus, right? Like a moral framework without the mysticism. And so Christians hate that. And the question is why, though, right? Because like, what would happen if you have like a group of people that follow Christian morality, but they just don't go to church, right? Like they believe in sex, in no sex before marriage. They don't believe in divorce. They don't want to steal. They don't want to lie. Like everything that the Bible teaches, but they don't believe in Jesus. Why are Christians upset? Well, the reason Christians are upset is because you use the name Christianity. It's kind of like a brand, right? Like you're borrowing the IP. You're like, okay, you're borrowing our teachings, but like you're not giving to the church. You're not providing the tithes. You have a pastor coming in with his opinion. You're dismissing his opinion. You're not obeying to us. You're not subservient, basically, right? You're not doing the Islam. You're not submitting. You're doing your own shit, and it pisses us off, especially if it's working. And so this is why Thomas Jefferson, actually before him, what he did was call it deism. It's called deism. It's the idea of morality that doesn't come from God, right? Like, if you're an atheist and you believe, okay, like the Bible, it creates stable societies, but I literally don't believe in angels. Like, I can't believe in demons. But I do think that the words there are true, right? Like, I do believe that what's written there is good. Well, you don't have to dismiss the whole thing, right? Like, you can just say, all right, the Christians are saying it's heresy. The deists say, yes, it is. Like, we admit it is heresy. Like, this doesn't offer salvation. It doesn't offer grace. We're not using it for spiritual means. We're not using it to avoid going to hell and reach heaven because we don't believe in that. We're using it to create a functioning society, right? So, like, this is the explanation of atheist Christianity. It's the idea that you're taking the teachings of the Bible and then you're applying it to form a nation. Now, Christians, they don't like that, right? But the reality, in my opinion, I don't see the reason for hostility. Like, if someone is my neighbor, right, and he believes everything that I believe, it's just that he doesn't go to church, why would I speak out about it, right? Like, he's not threatening me in any way. He's not doing anything. He's not my child. He's not, right? And it's kind of weird that you have, like, Christians that behave like deists and they get no criticism. Because, they don't go to church. They don't donate to charity. They don't go and confess. But they will say, well, yeah, I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus. But they don't go to... Christians have less problem with that than with someone that is like Richard Dawkins. Like, Richard Dawkins comes up and he says, yeah, I actually like Christianity. I regret what I've done. I don't think I should have been an atheist. Blah, 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 blah. They have more problem with him than they would have with another politician that is like Joe Biden. And Joe Biden, he's a Christian, of course. Like, he will say, yeah, I'm a Christian. And he talks with the Pope and he shakes hands with the Pope. The Pope doesn't excommunicate him. The Pope doesn't say anything bad about him, right? His policies are anything but Christian. Well, actually, the Pope himself, if you think about it, like the Pope is a progressive in name only. Like, the only thing that the Pope isn't the same with the Democrats is on issues of abortion and gay marriage. And I think, like, these are the two issues that if he was to agree with, he would get a schism in the church, right? But, like, if you take the Pope or Joe Biden, like, Christians are more okay with him than they would be okay with the guy on Reddit that says, yeah, I think, like, the Christian philosophy is good. I'm going to baptize my son. I'm going to do everything. But I just personally can't believe, right? And this is, like, the weirdness of it all. It's like, why are they more okay with the language, like what the person says? Because, like, the person can lie. They can say, okay, I'm not a deist, I'm not a Christian atheist, I'm a Christian, I believe in Jesus. And all of a sudden, everything is fine, right? Like, but because the person doesn't want to lie to you, and they're honest about their faith, and they're saying, look, I just don't believe in anything mystical. Like, I don't believe in spirits. I don't believe in an afterlife. I just can't believe, right? And that's the interesting part that I find fascinating. It's like, why is it that certain people are accepted, even though their actions are anything but Christian, while other people that are admitting, like, no, I'm not a Christian, but their actions are more in line with Christianity, they are being immediately shunned. It's just weird. This is what it is, you know? 10 euros of buyer remorse, Plevy. Hope you are doing well. Thank you, Grimlock. I'm actually not. I'm going to have to meet my in-laws. I'm not looking forward to it. I don't think any person is looking forward to that. When you get married, you'll know what I mean. The church is a tool for those that seek power. The church today is very different than the church in the past. Like, in the past, the church was a political institution. Kind of like the academia, if you will, right? Like the same way you look now at Harvard. Kind of like that, but a lot more powerful. And so, yeah, like the church was combining everything that's mainstream media, academia, pretty much like all the soft power in society, you know, the press, like the schools. So like in a medieval society, yeah, like the church was the mainstream media, the academia, the schooling system, the universities, all of that into one institution. And obviously when you have so much power, then they covet more power, right? Because it's led by human beings. It's not led by actual angels, right? Like angels aren't running the church. It's still human beings. And so it's interesting. It depends on the time period, because some kings didn't like being muscled in. You know, King Philip III of France, he accused the Templars. Now the Templars were religious warriors, religious monks that got a little bit rich during the Crusades. And King Philip needed money. So he accused them of homosexuality and blaspheming. Accusations that can't be disproven. Like, how can you prove you don't suck cock? You can't, right? And so he burned them, took away their gold, and then the Pope didn't do shit, because he didn't have power at the time. So it's interesting when you look at history to see the friction between the institutions. This is Christianity Plus, and if you're gonna play that card, just be you. Unless you aren't evenly yoked, then this is a cope. Well, a cope would be if you believe you go to heaven, right? A cope would be if you believe that these teachings are spiritual in nature. But if you think it does a good society, I don't know. Would you prefer people get mysticism instead? Like, okay, like Christians don't want to share. Like, their God is jealous. Their God has the sky. They don't want to share. Then you can go to Eastern Taoism, and that's more accepting. Like, Taoism also makes a functioning society. It was older than Rome. Especially if you look at Chinese people. Like, they have a society that predates the flood. Very bureaucratic, used to have writing before Europe and shit. They came up with gunpowder and stuff, right? And then you look at what they're teaching. Well, it teaches honor to your family, respect of the ancestor, know your place in society, cause harmony, don't be a cheeky little shit. Like, it's got a lot of teachings, you know, including not being a degenerate and stuff. It's like, okay, you know, Christians don't want to share. All right, well, their philosophy is theirs. They can keep it. Let's get somewhere else that they do want to share. And so, like, people from the Eastern philosophy, they're more than willing to share. Because, like, for them, they would be, oh, okay, well, this is a foreigner that's in need of enlightenment. He doesn't want the mysticism, doesn't want to listen to Kami. Okay, no problem. This is actually something that Christians realize when they travel to Japan. Like, this is really interesting if you study history. So the first Jesuits, they go to Japan. And at the time, the two nations didn't know about each other because they're very far away. Especially for the technologically abilities of the time to travel between Europe and Asia. And they knew of China as the land of silk and pottery, but they barely knew anything about Japan. So anyway, for the Rome, like the Pope, it was cataclysmic. Like what? Another society that existed before Rome? Like and they're not... And they're writing and stuff? Because like for them, pagan would mean people that come in and do stabby, like no art, no culture, just, you know, like needing enlightenment of the church. But you have Japan, and they're not like that. And so they go into a little bit of theological meltdown. They send missionaries. And what they realize is that when they arrive in Japan, people are more than willing to convert. Because they see the Christians as, okay, well, these people are coming from an also advanced society. They seem honorable. They are men of cloth. They read books. They write. They speak more than one language. So they were impressed, right? And so they started converting en masse. The problem is, like, when the Christians notice that they have the numbers and that they're now having influence in Japan, they started condemning Japanese rituals. They called it pagan and heretical, and worshiping idols, worshiping God, blaspheming and whatnot. So it caused a friction in the empire. The empire viewed the Christians as subversive cheeky little shits. It's like, well, we welcome them like guests, like honorable guests with open arms, and now my son is disrespecting the ancestors, is disrespecting the gods that his grandfather grew up in, is calling me a heretic, is acting like he has universal truth and knows better than me, but he's like 16 and I'm a warlord at 45. Who the fuck he thinks he is? And more importantly, who put these fucking ideas into his brain? And so, they got kicked out of Japan. This is before Japan became isolationist. They cried persecution. They were. But I feel like the Japanese didn't rebel against the philosophy of Christ. They rebelled against the institution, the church. Right? Like the political institution. And obviously, like this, in reverse would have been the same. The church dealt the same with the Cathars. Back in the day, during medieval time, the church would preach in Latin. Like, even the sermons themselves, they wouldn't preach in the language of the land. They would preach in Latin. And so, like, they were gatekeeping the knowledge in order to, everyone was gatekeeping shit. The doctors were gatekeeping their trade. The blacksmiths were gatekeeping their stuff, right? And so the church was gatekeeping its turf. But anyway, you have this schism. You have, like, the Cathars. And the Cathars are saying, okay, well, there is a God. But clearly not the Catholic Church. Like, look how rich they are. Look at the wealth they're displaying. This is not the life of Jesus. And so, like, the Cathars genuinely started doing what the church was supposed to do, like actual doing charity, genuinely walking across the land, dressed modestly, and helping people build shit and stuff. And the church declared a crusade on them, right? Why? For the same reason why Japan kicked them out. At the end of the day, like, all these things are human nature. They're not like religious, divine, or judgmental. Like, everyone would behave the same way if placed in the same situation. The Templars became Gnostic followers of Islam. The word Muhammad and Baphomet come from the same root word. They were worshipping Muhammad. Yeah, that's the accusation. They say they weren't. How can you disprove that? Like, if you look at realpolitik, it seems incredibly beneficial for King Philip III that, they're worshipping Baphomet, right? Incredibly beneficial. Now, how likely is it that they were worshipping Baphomet? Like, they're actually going into crusades, right? They're actually conquering places and fighting Muslims at the Holy Land. And then they come back, and all of a sudden, right, like in the midst of France, they decide, you know what we need to do? We need to start worshipping Baphomet. How likely do you think that is versus how likely do you think it is, okay, well, the king... and by the way, how do we know? They were tortured, right? So, like, they were subjected to torture, and they confessed under torture. Well, I mean, if the scribe says so, clearly it must be the case, right? No, I don't think that that's happening, because if they were actually converting to Islam or someplace else, they would just left France. Like, they would just left. They would have gone to a Middle Eastern country and practice it there. Like, why would they remain in the heart of Christianity to spark a heretical schism when they have everything to lose? All three Abrahamic faiths are 99% the same? Abso-fucking-lutely not. No. Like when you look at the Jews, right? The Jewish people. They don't try to convert. In fact, they're like a closed gentleman's club, If you want to join their religion, it's very difficult. Like, you need a sponsor to get you in, and you need to ask like 3 times from the rabbi, and you need to study order laws and shit. No. Like Judaism is very different than Christianity, and Christianity is very different than Islam. Like Christianity is more about spiritual healing, personal growth, personal improvement. With Islam, it's about the whole. It's about the Muslim as a nation, right? Like in Christianity, you have martyrdom, but it's not the same like you have in Islam where if you die in battle, you get to see the virgins and shit. Nah. They're not similar at all. In fact, I find it hypocritical that like in the past in medieval in a medieval place, like they would call it the people of the book and extend the same grace, if you will. Well, not necessarily the same grace, but they would consider them to be above the pagans when there are other quote-unquote pagans like the Chinese Empire, which at the time was pretty much the same, if not even better structured than Europe. Like, for instance, Europe was sucking cock from the Huns while the Chinese built a fucking wall. The Chinese were documenting and inventing bureaucracy while Europe was still thinking about how can we move one army from one corner to another. So the only thing that the Chinese had to say is like, oh yeah, well, all of our mysticism also comes from an angel or some shit, and we believe in God, and then they too become people of the book. Like, I don't think it should work that way, The virgins are not human, they're jinn. Oh my fucking god. Can you imagine like being part of like a race of people where you're constantly just multiplying so that you provide daughters for like some guy that lived in the Middle East? Sorry, not the Huns, the Mongols. Do you think if they were to invade Western Europe, like things would be different? Like, do you think they would fail? Like what would prevent them from, like what do you think Western Europe was having that Eastern Europe didn't? Like, take into account that the Moors managed to take over Spain, so it's not like the reason it didn't invade Western Europe is because of the distance, not because of the technological ability or something. Anyway, monotheism tier list. Dude, like, do you know I would get cancelled when I start putting Judaism on the list? Like, if I put it too high, then I lose subscribers. If I put it too low, then the ADL comes after me. Mongols send the Black Death. I don't think we have historical records. Like, we can suspect where it came from. Like, we know it came from the fleas of rats. And so, there are high chances that it came from ships. But it's also possible that it came from armies. Right? So, like, armies travel around. Vermin and rats follow, because, like, armies have food and stuff. So, like, maybe... I don't know. It is possible that the Black Death wasn't native to Europe, though. It is possible that was brought from somewhere else. Let's see what we got. V, I hope you do make it to purgatory at least. The Orthodox faith does not believe in purgatory. We actually believe in heaven and hell. It's actually interesting, man. Like, I'm reading a lot of sorry for going in a rant and speaking heresies. I'm going on a educational journey. I'm really fascinated by medieval societies and what they believed and what they celebrated and stuff. And it's interesting that despite the fact that Christianity is monotheistic, they rarely, if ever, prayed to Jesus. They were praying to saints. So, like, if you had sailors on the sea, like, they would say, oh, we're going to sacrifice a fish and put it on the mast in order to appease Saint Augustine or something like that, right? So, like, winds listen to us and they don't cause a storm. So, yeah, like, they would basically, like, go fish something. They would cut open the belly of the fish and put it something as a sacrifice for a saint. It's interesting because all these rituals, right? Like they would come from ancient Rome. So like people were isolated in various communities, and it comes from ancient Rome, right? So like Rome was pagan, and then those rituals got passed on from generation to generation, but then they gave them a Christian spin. You know, instead of like sacrificing the fish to Poseidon, you're now sacrificing the fish to the saint. And you get to notice this with the Haitians in America. They were practicing voodoo, right? Voodoo magic. And when they would blend with the Christians in order not to get persecuted for the blasphemy, they would disguise their loas as saints. So now they're not praying to Papa Legba, they're praying to Saint Peter, right? Because Saint Peter is guarding the gates and Papa Legba is the loa at the crossroads. So basically they're now trying to invoke or chant to Saint Peter. That's how they would frame it in public, so that in private no one knows that they're being heretics. As an atheist, how do you cope that there's no afterlife? Well, it's kind of the same like before you're born. Like, that's how I cope with it. It's you know, the exact same experience that I had before being born is the exact experience that I will have after I die. To be fair, I don't say that I know. I say I don't know. I generally have no idea what's after the afterlife. But so far, like, no one has managed to explain to me what happens after the afterlife in a way that's convincing. Right? And so, the fact that there are so many religions out there, like even Christian denominations, and they all have like a different take what's happening after the afterlife, makes me believe that, well, maybe people just don't know. And so like the only rational thing, the only thing that I do know is that, okay, well, how was it before I was born? And so why can't it be like that after I die? And there you go. That's my explanation of what happens. Ironically, I blame the Protestantism for allowing this. I don't think they allowed it. I think they either didn't know, or it's like real politic. Okay, you got slaves on your plantation, and they're happy and content. Are you going to fuck with them just for the sake of fucking with them so that you risk an uprising or lowering productivity? No. Oh, yeah, it's St. Peter. Sure, yeah, whatever. You know, if the priest comes, just shut the fuck up and let me do the talking, you know? The priest comes and asks why you sacrificed the chicken to St. Peter. Well, you know, they just don't know any better. Yeah, sure, I'll figure it out now. That's pretty much how it worked, right? It's not... Like, most people are very pragmatic, and they are focused on results. Like, most people aren't moralistic in nature, right? They don't really care about principles and other things. It's like, okay, you have a plantation owner. What does he care about? Well, he cares about people working on his plantation and not having rebellions and not having people dying. Okay. What does he need to do? Well, he can't allow them to actually perform heresy, because if they do, then the church cracks down on him, right? If the church cracks down on him, he's getting canceled. Very similar to cancel culture. Like, people don't buy his stuff. People don't want to trade with him. Worst case scenario, he actually violates some law. Oh, okay, right. So, like, now I have a bunch of slaves that worship pagan deities, but they do it in a way that it's kind of difficult to call. Okay, if the priest comes over, I'll bribe him. I'll give him a little bit of extra, tell him to shut the fuck up and say that it's St. Peter. And that's pretty much how you go. So it's not really like Protestantism. It's just like the way human works. You know, like the way every society, every culture functions the same everywhere. Do you believe that you'll be isekai'd into an anime world? No. Not to mention I would be humiliated. Like, imagine not knowing how to make electricity, but you know it exists. And the fact that if you had studied a little bit more, you would have known. But it's like when you learned about it in school, it bored the living shit out of you. So like you generally don't know about how to make electricity, but you know it exists. You know it could change the world. Imagine like not knowing how to make a steam engine. It's not like you wouldn't be able to get it. It's not like you wouldn't be able to, like, in 1 hour figure it out. But it's like you never actually invested yourself into reading it and then memorizing it. And now you're in the isekai world, and it frustrates you to a huge deal because you know it exists, you know it can be made, you know it can be manufactured, you just didn't fucking study. And there's now no way to study. You don't have any of the books, you don't have Google, you have nothing. And you knew that if you only had one book and 1 fucking hour and 1 blacksmith, you could make it. Like, can you imagine? Like, that would be fucking hell. Or imagine, like, knowing about penicillin. Like, you're a doctor. I finished med school, right? But here's the thing. If someone gets sick, I know to give him penicillin. Now you're asking, where will does penicillin come from? From the fucking pharmacy, right? And so you're now in a medieval society. You see a patient, you know what's wrong with him. You know what pills to give him, but you can't make the pills. Because you just don't know how penicillin is made. Like, you probably, it's like a sort of mold. Maybe if he eats moldy bread. I don't fucking know, you know? It's like, and you're now in a situation of complete and utter embarrassment. You know, like, God, like, I know why this is happening. I know how to treat it. I know how to fix it, but I just don't know the technicalities. I did love that game and its world very much, including that narrative element. Back on the day, I played a game called Asheron's Call, not directly speaking to conventional isekai, but any means, but the narrative was being whisked away into another world. You just can't find the pharmacy in prehistory. That's the point, yeah. You can invent hot air balloons? Can you? I don't think you can, man. Like, if you're in a medieval society, do you know how expensive that shit would be? And even, like, just so you understand, a book in a medieval society was worth the same as a sports car. I'm not even kidding. Like the book that you know, you take for granted, and it's probably like $10 on Amazon. During a medieval society, it was worth like $200,000, $300,000 adjusted for inflation. The reason for it is the manufacturing. Like, they didn't know how to make paper. They couldn't. And so they were making vellum. And in order to make one vellum, I think 2 sheep had to die. And now you're realizing, okay, but like, sheep are very valuable. And they're kind of rare. And so to have like a complete book, and then the ink as well, and everything, right? Like, in the manufacturing process of the book made it extremely expensive. The communists would say that the nobility wanted the peasants to be dumb. No, that's not the case. It's just like they didn't have the tools to mass manufacture books. No, they didn't have sports cars. But what we do know is how much wage did a fruit picker get? Now, why is fruit picking important? Well, fruit picking as a profession didn't change. Like, to pick fruits is the same now as it used to be back then. And so if you apply that wage for fruit picking, you can kind of understand how much things cost and compare them to what they would cost today. So, like, when you compare how much a book costs to how much it costs today, it would give you like around $100,000 or $200,000 using this method. The other thing that really sucks is that even if you know something, even if you could tell them something that would revolutionize their society, they'll probably kill you. Because you're destabilizing society. Like, let me give you an example. And it's the same thing true today, right? Like, people don't want new technology that revolutionizes stuff. They're very restrictive to that. So, like, let me give you an example. Let's say you teach them assembly lines, right? So assembly lines would just explode their economy. Like, assembly lines and interchangeable parts. Like, that's something that doesn't even need any technical know-how. You just explain to them, okay, listen, you have one blacksmith, and he does it like he teaches a peasant how to make the pommel of the sword, and you're teaching him how to make the blade. Another peasant, right? So one peasant only makes pommels, one peasant only makes blades, and you make them similar, so that if they break in combat, you can just replace the part. You don't have to like do the whole work again to repair the individual item. And now you can mass manufacture. Like, you can probably outproduce entire fucking empires with a little nation if you use this tactic. Interchangeable parts and assembly lines. The guilds will fucking flip on you. Like, you'd get assassinated. Just by having this idea. Like, all the guilds would lose their power. Like, what? So, like, peasants can now build shit? No. And it's the same today, right? Like, why do you think people hate RFK? Well, they hate RFK because he's now destroying the system that was placed, you know, with the experts that are the ones deciding what is admitted or not, and Pfizer managing to sell medication to the government rather than to customers, like all of that. I don't want to live in an isekai world and make it gay and cringe. Well, the thing with the isekai world, you know, what do you get? You get a sexy lady, right? Like, let's say, like, you look at all the isekais. You get a very, very beautiful anime waifu. But you're still in an isekai world. There's no computers, there's no technology, there's no Discord, there's nothing, right? And so, okay, but I can do that here. I already found a beautiful woman that I married to. I don't fucking need to go isekai. Like, I can already live my perfect life here. Why would I want to go into a medieval society and live there? Oh, yeah, you can do magic. Oh, whoop de fucking do. Is it better than League of Legends? No. Okay, well. We see how new technology causes revolt with AI luditism. I don't know. I mean, the Industrial Revolution caused revolt. Like, there are revolts, right? But there's no... Usually, like, society integrates the new technology. Nothing that happens with AI is something that didn't happen before. If you look at the Roman Empire had AI, quote unquote. It had slaves, right? So you have slaves that can do literally anything for free. Well, not necessarily for free. Like, you still have to house them and shit, but like slavery exists in the Roman Empire, and they were taking the jobs. And so you now have the slave caste. You have the nobility, and the nobility, they have like the prestigious jobs, right? Like, they're the ones that are the philosophers, and they're the ones that are composing shit. But what do you do with the middle class? Like, what do you do with the plebeians? And the answer was bread and circus, right? You give them welfare. You give them welfare and entertainment so that they don't revolt. You don't fuck with the circus. You don't fuck with the bread. And then the peasants are happy. Are they fulfilled? Probably not. Again, we don't really know exactly what a peasant would do. But we do know that, yeah, like, they were affected by slavery. Because, like, even if they wanted to work, and the thing with working is that it also provides you dignity and a sense of fulfillment and belonging. Right? Like, it provides you a sense of having meaning in your life. Just by, you know, like, toiling the land, doing something, building something, making something. It's actually important. Obviously, context and balance needs to be made. Like, you know, being overworked is also bad. But, like, the very fact that you have a job and you make something there makes you feel fulfilled. And so, the plebeians were probably quite depressed, you know, because, like, if you don't have a job, you can't get anything. Like, what do? You go to the Colosseum. The problem with bread and circus is that eventually they run out. Well, you know, it's the same like any job, I guess. Like, eventually the company can also go bankrupt. But like, to be fair, I don't think Rome was a failure. I mean, it lasted for hundreds of years. That's why we still talk about it. So I don't think like any nation lasts forever. Or even if it does in name, it's only there because, you know, the name stays, but like the government changes. Like look at China, right? It starts as an empire and now it's communist, and then it's not really communist, it's capitalistic. The form of government changes, the will of the national anthem changes. And so, like, yeah, I don't think like systems are there to exist forever. Every single nation changes. And so, like, the Roman Empire having lasted for so long, I think like what it was doing was pretty fucking good. Especially when you compare it with later times, with the medieval period. Yeah, I think like Rome had a lot of things done right. Peasants joined the army, and after some years in the army, they got a plot of land in a colony. Yeah, but like not all of them. And yeah, I guess like that's one of the things you can do. You can join the military, and that's your purpose. That's your fulfillment. It's so fucking weird though, right? Like you join the army, right? And like how many years did they get back then? Because it wasn't like 1 year of service. It was pretty fucking brutal. And assuming you survive, then you go into a place that you probably don't speak the language. You don't know anyone there. Everyone fucking hates you. You're worried that people will invade and burn your property and shit because they don't view you as theirs. Ugh. It's pretty difficult. Tariffs would have saved Rome. I think they were already tariffing people. Yeah, no, like tariffs existed in medieval society, and they were for the peasants as well. Like for instance, let's say you're on a farm and you want to sell grapes to the castle. Well, when you enter the castle, you have to pay a fee. That's a tariff, right? Like they would tariff even their own population. That's how they would pay taxes and shit. Every merchant that came into a city, they had to pay in order to gain access. And they would pay based on the merchandise that they would sell. If the merchandise was expensive, they would have to pay more. Ethno-nationalism would have saved Rome. How can you be ethno-nationalist if you're also imperial? Like, the whole idea is you're conquering other people, right? And so, like how do you integrate them into the empire? Now the answer is, okay, genocide. Like there were cultures in history that practiced this as well, right? It's like, okay, well, he doesn't look like us, so therefore genocide. But like then you conquer land and you can't populate it because you're running out of people. Like you start from a nation, right? Like your nation has, let's say it's a medieval place, right? So let's say you have 100,000 people. Okay, well, you go out and you start claiming land. Well, you now claimed land, and then you place your people there where your population just shrunk, right? So this is why empires would keep the people there and make them pay a tribute, make them pay fines, make them adapt your laws. But you stop being ethnocentric. Like at that moment, you're imperial and you have under the empire more ethnicities. And you have to somehow find a way to balance it. Because if you impose too much of your shit on them, then they rebel. And, assuming you want to conquer shit west, you don't want to also put down a rebellion to the east. And you also want to seem somewhat benevolent and give the carrot, not just the stick. Rome killed a third of Gallic tribes, enslaved the third, and let the third live as free citizens. Yeah, no, it's like this is one of the things where people complain that Rome was multi-ethnic, and that's what killed them. It's like, yeah, but like this is what happens when you keep expanding, and a lot of ethno-nationalists don't accept this argument. And it's like you don't accept it because you didn't think about what it means. It doesn't mean like you don't have people to guard your empire. It simply means like you have way too many cultures in your empire, and you have to abide one rule on every single culture. And you also need to make sure that they don't rebel, and you need to keep conquering more. And at some point, like, the system is going to crack. Yeah, puppet states, right? Like, a lot of the things that are being done today are being done because people looked at history and they kept what's working, right? So, like, puppet states is pretty much the solution to the empire. but even with puppet states, like, it still has disadvantages. What if they have an election and then you get a Donald Trump, All of a sudden, it's not a puppet state anymore. All of a sudden, it starts tariffing the world, and you look horrified. It's like, it should have been Kabbalah. We should have maintained the puppet state. Forced marriage. We Portuguese did it. That actually works, yeah. Until you get World War I. Like, World War I is weird, because, like, everyone was married to everyone else. Like, everyone was family, and they still created industrial slaughter. Until telecommunications, having an empire was tricky. Now we have telecoms. It's seen as a bad thing. I don't think it's seen as a bad thing. I think it's seen as inefficient. If it was seen as a good thing, it still wouldn't have been done. It's just inefficient to have an empire. Like, the world today doesn't require a lot of land in order to feed people, when, you know, you can just buy food from another place. You can farm a lot more on a smaller plot of land than your ancestors ever could. And so, like, having an empire is just not efficient at all. What's efficient is creating multinational corporations. Like, those are the modern empires, right? Google, Huawei. These are the empires of today. And the church of today are the NGOs. LGBT NGO, you know, like that type of stuff. USAID. Like, that's the church. And when you look at it like that, a lot of it starts to make sense. 90% of the modern problems can be fixed by abolishing the welfare state. I agree. Yeah, I think that immediately you'd see an improvement. But it is what it is. Just have brothels pump up more babies. Is that a thing, though? Is, like, quantity over quality really better? Like, does the world actually need 7 billion people? You know, like it's annoying when you have a more nuanced view on this, because every time you do, people get upset. Because they think you're like the other guy, you know, and the other guy is the environmentalist that hates humanity and thinks that we should have no babies and humans should die out. I'm not saying they should die out, but, like, if naturally, without any additional force, you know, like by itself, people just don't want to fuck. And then you have, you know, a population decline, and then it's like the next 3 generations will just have like 4 billion people. And it's sustainable at 4 billion. Why is that a problem? Like, why do you need 7 billion people? What's the advantage? And if you say, okay, you need 7 billion, all right. Well, what do you think is enough? Like, if you have 14 billion, if you have 25, if you have 30 billion, you know, like at which point do you say, all right, well, this is not sustainable? Who raises the babies? What, the ones at the brothel or what? Yeah, this is what I don't agree with. It's like line must go up. Well, what if line doesn't go up? Well, what if line goes down for a little bit? Like, what's the problem with that? Yeah, it's literally because taxes for welfare. That's pretty much it. Just colonize Mars. That would be fucking cool. I would hate to be one of the first colonists, though. Like, can you imagine the hell they're going to go through? The more people, the more probable that one is a genius. Oh, do you think that's how it works? See, that's the kids' table thinking. Because I thought as well. It's like, all you need is a genius. Okay. Let's say you have one genius, right? And then he talks about medicine. And immediately he gets shot up because Dr. Fauci said differently. And because he's a genius, he gets gatekept from everywhere, right? Like that's how it works nowadays. If you're not allowed to join in the guild, which is gatekept by big pharma and regulations, it doesn't mean anything. And usually geniuses don't go there. Like let's take a genius. Tim Cook, I think his name was, right? Was that scientist that landed that made a sexist joke, right? He said that women don't belong in the lab because you fall in love with them. He was a Nobel Prize winner. What did they do to him? They fired him. Why? Because cancel culture, right? So he was a genius. Now he's working in Japan. But, like, what does society do to geniuses? Shits on them, right? Like, just look at entertainment. Look at, an actual genius. The person that made the original trilogy, Lord of the Rings, right? Amazon didn't even want to talk to him. Amazon didn't even want to contact him. They hired other people that were much more shit at the job than him. So, yeah, like having more people on the idea that one can be a genius, no, fuck that shit. In fact, I will tell you something else. When there's instability, you know, when you have either war or the Black Death, that's when you get the Renaissance. That's when you get the Enlightenment. That's when you get, like, new inventions and new technology and new shit. That's when you get the cool toys. You don't get the cool toys by having more people. Like, look at China, right? China has, or India. India has a lot of people, right? Is it coming up with, like, the new teleportation device? Is the AI technology, you know, created in India? Is it coming from them? Are they the ones that are launching rockets to Mars just because they have so many people? No. I hear a lot of geniuses just want to live a normal life because they aren't wanted in the workplace. A lot of geniuses, like the more high IQ you get, the more antisocial you become. Because, like, imagine this: if you can actually stop experiencing the joy in life because you understand everything, right? Like you actually know people that are fake. Like you're looking at a person that's in love with you, and in your mind it's like, okay, well, it's the chemical reactions in their brain which are making them feel this way, and it's probably going to last for like 3 months or so before they're going to change. Like you're just hyper analyzing everything. Like, you don't look at people as a human being, you look at them as a machine, and you know, it's just like parts in the person that, and you're thinking like that. Or you're thinking like the psychology of the masses, and it's like, okay, well, if you do this, this happens. If you do that, that happens. It's very difficult to you to integrate into normal society. You know, like you go to a funeral and everyone is crying, everyone is depressed, and you're like, well, I mean, he died of old age. I mean, that's normal. What happens, right? It's like, why are people crying? It's just the natural way of life. Well, people look at that and they think, oh my goodness, like you're detached. You don't feel anything. You don't cry. You don't, like, you're a machine, and you know, like it's difficult to build friendship. Yeah, like Dr. House. Dr. House is a perfect example of what I'm talking about, right? So you have like a person that's like Dr. House, and they just accept things the way they are. It's like, well, this is normal, this is the universe. But for other people, it's baffling, right? Like Dr. House is kind of like, I don't want to compare myself with him in the intelligence department. But there was like, for instance, at the hospital, I remember like having an argument with my colleagues, and there was like this girl. I think she was in 9th grade or so. And she starved herself because she had like these weird psychological issues where she believed that that she doesn't look good, and she will only look good if she starves herself, right? So she went on a diet and took her grandma pills. She took furosemide, basically like a pill that makes all the water in your body go out. So now she's at the hospital, and she still doesn't believe that she did anything wrong. And there's like a huge number of doctors that are trying to convince her otherwise. And I was like, dude, why are we wasting our time when we have other patients? Like, we tried, okay? Like, everyone spoke with her for an entire fucking day. We're not psychiatrists here. Okay, we're going to stabilize her. We're going to make sure that she's fine. She's going to go home. And if she keeps doing that shit, she's either going to come visit us again or the morticiary. Like, it's not our job to force good upon this person. It's our job to heal the other patients. Right? And everyone was thinking that I'm heartless, that I don't understand. And it's like, okay, now let me look back at what happened. They tried, they wasted time, they didn't change her mind, she still did what she wanted to do. And so, why exactly was I wrong? Because I didn't partake in the ritual, well, I didn't go there to say certain things that she wouldn't listen to anyway? Because it's like, obviously, like, my mind, in my head, I was like, okay, it's not like her parents didn't tell her that what she's doing is wrong. It's not like other people in her life didn't tell her that what she's doing is wrong. It's not that other doctors didn't tell her. If I go there, I'm just wasting my fucking time. I don't care she's young. I don't care she's in a 9th grade. I don't fucking care. There is nothing I can do that's going to change her mind besides wasting my time, and more importantly, wasting the time of other people. So if she wants to keep doing that, let her. You know, and everyone was thinking, oh my goodness, you're a hard... And this is why, you know, I don't consider myself intelligent, but I do think, like, this particular decision came from intellect rather than emotion. And so, like, other people that are more intelligent than me probably feel the same. Ostracized by their own group, told that, oh my god, you don't feel, you don't... And it's like, it's not that you don't feel, but you assess a situation, you wonder, can I fix it? And if the answer is no, then you stop even trying. Like, what's the point? She's not my family, she's not my blood. Right? Like she thinks she knows better than everyone else. There's nothing that I can do. Same issue with the welfare state. You don't want to pay people not to work, it's cruel. But if everyone stops working, we are destitute. Yeah, pretty much. That's not necessarily being a genius as much as it's being pessimistic. Well, Robot, do you honestly think that there was anything anyone could have said to change your mind? Like, do you think that if you went there and you spoke with her, like, there is anything that you could have possibly said in order for her to go, you know what, you're right, I'm going to start eating? The geniuses have to be egomaniacs like Les Luthor, just for them to invent amazing things? No, like, they can be like Elon Musk. I think you get a lot of ego, though. Like, you get, people who are successful get egos, right? Like, that comes with the course. And so, yeah, I do think, like, you don't have to have an ego, but once you become successful, you do get an ego. The hypothetical genius would have managed to convince her. No, because the idea that everything in the world can be fixed just if you have more knowledge is ridiculous. Like, the concept that you can't be stubborn, like let's reverse it, right? Let's assume that you're the girl. And you set your mind on something, and you have, like, a stoic determination. The idea that there is another person on planet Earth that with enough charisma could change your mind because you're too weak, no, it doesn't work like that. You know? Like, there are people that once they set their mind onto something and they become stubborn, you can't unchange their mind. Chances are, okay, potentially maybe I could have, but I would have to be related with her, right? Like, if I was someone that, she would admire, or someone that, you have a guy and she falls in love with him, maybe, yeah, like, okay, there are solutions. But it would require long-term investment, long-term commitment, probably family relations made on blood. It's not like you as a doctor that just never seen her before. You can go there and have the speech, and all of a sudden it's like a nice fairy tale movie where it goes like, oh, yes, I understand now. You don't need a genius to convince, you need high charisma. No, man, I think that even if you did convince her, she would probably, like, change her mind for, like, a couple of weeks, and unless you are in her life constantly, she would just revert back. Genius requires more than an idea to come from smarts. It requires vision and connections. I think genius is a combination of intelligence and charisma. I think it's a little bit more different, right? Like, for instance, IQ, it's understanding patterns. But emotional intelligence is like reading other people, right? So, like, for instance, charisma is knowing how to speak with a certain tone of voice, when to raise your voice, when to speak calmly, when to get angry, when to be quiet. Like, there's different tools that I may not know the names for them, but I'm pretty sure, like, certain psychologists know what I'm talking about. And so, like, you can be a good chess master, you can be really good at recognizing patterns, but you can be awful with people. And the other part is true, you can have, like, a really good charisma, a really good stage presence, and you can be dumb as a brick. I rolled a charisma 1? No, I didn't even roll. I chose not to even engage with that horseshit. Look, I also believe that maybe some people, and I know this is harsh, but, like, this was the mentality in the 90s and the mentality of the early 2000s when I grew up in. And I genuinely, wholeheartedly believe that maybe some people deserve the Darwin Award. It's like, why does the entire society has to move in order to help one individual for not constantly making the bad decision? I think, like, people are in charge of their life and their body integrity. And if they constantly decide to fuck up, well, maybe they should, I mean, I'm not doing anything. I'm not encouraging them. I just don't want to be around them. Like, if someone is a ticking time bomb, how is that my responsibility? Like, my responsibility is to my family and my friends. I don't even know that person. And if they, like, insist getting the Darwin Award, they're fine. You know, I'm not going to dedicate my entire life to go after every single dumbass that thinks Tide Pods are candy, you know? There's enough information out there that tells them it's not. There's already safety guardrails out there in order to prevent them from doing that. If they still fucking insist, well, c'est la vie. You know, is this mentality really that bad? Like, this is how people used to think in the early 2000s and the 2010. It's not your job to convince her, though. You are a doctor, you prescribe treatment, and the patient can take it or leave it. Yeah, pretty fucking much. That's how I viewed it. And what I viewed it is like wasting time on her means that I'm wasting time on another patient. Like, there are patients that actually do want help, and she was a patient that obviously didn't. And so it's like, okay, well, why did she come in? Well, she came in with heart palpitations and the fact that she's anemic. Okay, well, let's fix that and then go to the next person, and that's it. I believe there are people who deserve the Darwin Award, but I don't tell them because I will get the Darwin Award. Yeah, in our current society, yeah. Like stating the obvious and being a little bit harsh and showing a little bit tough love, people get to target you for not being empathetic enough. What did the 2000 and 2010 lead to? Oh, right. Oh, well, Robot. Oh, I see. But what did the 1990s and the religion of 1980 lead to? Oh, it led to the 2000s and the 2010, right? So we need to make sure we never repeat the 80s again. Or the 70s. Because look, the 60s led to the 70s, which led to the 80s, which led to the 90s, which led to the 2000s, which then led to the 2010, and then the wokeness came. And it's those fucking people in the 40s. It's those World War II which started the domino effect. You know, come on. If an idea has to show up, it's going to show up. And by the way, I believe in a cyclical view of history. I think bad things happen so that good things happen. I don't think it's like a linear timeline. And you can say, oh, well, because of this, then this. It's like, no. After this comes this, and after that comes that, and then we go full circle again. Is the Sumerian fault? Soviet communists are to blame. Well, to be fair, like, the church was to blame as well. Like if the church would have just fucking voted with the General Assembly in France, you wouldn't have had the French Revolution. There you fucking go, right? All they had to do was to do what Jesus did. Jesus would have voted with the peasants. Jesus would have not voted with the aristocrats. That's literally all he needed to do, right? Anyway, going to stop here. Going to upload the videos on my other channels. Happy Easter, everyone, if you're an Orthodox. And thank you for the super chats. Also, hold on a little bit. Warlord Basil, message me on Twitter. The real problem is cause and effect. Kinda, I guess. But the system is way too complex. There are too many causes, too many effects. It's difficult to predict.